earn a living you respect. Have you ever felt that gnawing emptiness on Sunday nights, dreading Monday morning because your work feels meaningless? Or perhaps you're earning well but feel disconnected from your true self. Before we dive into today's Stoic wisdom on aligning your career with your values, take a moment to hit subscribe and tap the notification bell. If you're struggling with career fulfillment, drop a simple yes in the comments. I read every single one. What would Seneca say about trading your limited time for work that drains your spirit? Think about it. We spend roughly 90,000 hours working in our lifetime, yet studies show over 70% of people feel disconnected from their work. Which matters more to you, external success or inner tranquility? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The Stoics understood something profound about work. It's not merely about earning money, but about expressing virtue. Today, I'll guide you through 5 Stoic principles that will transform how you approach your career. Principles that have helped thousands align their professional lives with their deepest values. Principle 1. Define your life's work, not just your job. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being." Your career isn't separate from your life's work, it's an expression of it. Before chasing job titles or salaries, ask yourself, what contribution am I uniquely positioned to make? What problems am I genuinely drawn to solve? Consider the Stoic concept of oikeiosis, the process of recognizing what belongs to your nature. Epictetus taught that each person has natural aptitudes that, when discovered and developed, lead to both excellence and fulfillment. This isn't about finding your passion in the modern, often superficial sense. It's about identifying your natural strengths and the ways you're organically drawn to contribute. Look at Cicero, who, despite his political success, always considered himself a philosopher and teacher at heart. Or Seneca, who balanced his role as political advisor with his deeper calling as a philosophical writer. They understood that a title is merely a vehicle for expressing deeper work. Ask yourself these questions. What activities cause you to lose track of time? When do you feel most useful to others? What problems do you notice that others overlook? These questions reveal your natural inclinations. Many make career decisions based on what I call borrowed values, pursuing paths that impress parents, peers, or society rather than aligning with their nature. This creates the Sunday night dread I mentioned earlier. Here's a practical exercise for you. Write down 5 moments in your life when you felt genuinely useful and engaged. Look for patterns. Are you solving problems, creating, teaching, organizing? These patterns reveal your natural mode of contribution. Share one pattern you've discovered in the comments. Your insight might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Remember, you don't need to quit your job tomorrow to begin this alignment. Start by bringing more of your natural skills into your current role, volunteering in areas that engage your strengths, or developing a side project that exercises these muscles. I'm curious, has anyone here completely pivoted careers to better align with their nature? What catalyzed that change? Drop your story in the comments. These real examples inspire our community. Principle 2. Practice indifference to external outcomes. Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Epictetus. The Stoics distinguish between what we can and cannot control. In your career, you control your effort and preparation, your intentions and motivations, your responses to setbacks, your continuous learning, the values you embody in your work. You don't control market conditions and economic shifts, others' opinions or recognition, perfect outcomes or timing, whether others appreciate your contributions, organizational politics and decisions. This distinction is transformative when applied to your career. Consider how much anxiety comes from attaching your worth to things beyond your control: a promotion decision, quarterly results, or a colleague's approval. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, taught that emotional suffering comes from demanding that reality be different than it is. When you insist that your career must follow a specific timeline or that your work must be recognized in certain ways, you create unnecessary suffering. Let me share a personal example. Early in my career, I obsessed over recognition from certain mentors. This attachment caused me to work from insecurity rather than excellence. When I finally released this need for validation and focused solely on the quality of my contribution, not only did my work improve, but ironically, the recognition eventually came. Has anyone else experienced this paradox? Share your story below. Practicing indifference doesn't mean not caring about your work. Quite the opposite. It means caring deeply about what you can control while releasing attachment to what you cannot. This creates both better work and greater tranquility. Try this practice this week. Before beginning each workday, mentally identify what's within your control and what isn't. Commit to excellence in the former and acceptance of the latter. At day's end, reflect on how this shifted your experience. Did you notice less anxiety? More focus? I'd love to hear your results in the comments. Remember Marcus Aurelius's wisdom. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. When you stop demanding that your career unfold in a specific way and instead focus on bringing excellence to what's in front of you, you create the conditions for both meaningful work and inner peace. Which external outcome are you most attached to right now in your career? A specific position? A certain income level? Recognition from a particular person? Simply bringing awareness to these attachments begins to loosen their grip. Share one attachment you're working to release in the comments. Principle 3. Embrace voluntary discomfort. Set aside a certain number of days during which you will be content with the simplest food, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself all the while, "Is this the condition I feared?" Seneca. Seneca, despite being one of Rome's wealthiest men, regularly practiced voluntary poverty. Why? Because he understood that comfort is the enemy of growth, and that facing discomfort voluntarily builds the psychological muscles needed for resilience. In your career, voluntary discomfort might look like taking on a project that stretches your capabilities, having that difficult conversation you've been avoiding, receiving critical feedback without defensiveness, speaking up when it would be easier to remain silent, admitting mistakes rather than protecting your image, leaving a comfortable but stagnant position for a challenging opportunity. Most people spend their careers avoiding discomfort, then wonder why they feel stuck. The Stoics knew better. Musonius Rufus taught that, just as physical training requires resistance to build muscle, character development requires facing what's difficult rather than avoiding it. Here's a powerful question. What difficult conversation or task are you currently avoiding in your professional life? The growth you seek likely lies on the other side of that discomfort. Consider the concept of progressive overload from fitness training, gradually increasing resistance to build strength. Apply this to your career by regularly seeking challenges just beyond your current capabilities. This deliberate discomfort becomes the foundation of your professional evolution. I challenge everyone watching to identify one uncomfortable professional action you've been avoiding, then commit to doing it this week. It might be asking for feedback, proposing that innovative idea, or setting a boundary with a difficult colleague. Share your commitment in the comments and come back to tell us what happened when you faced it. Remember what Epictetus taught. Difficulties show a person's character. When you voluntarily embrace professional challenges instead of avoiding them, you develop capabilities that others lack and that employers and clients value tremendously. Here's another practice to consider. Regularly put yourself in learning environments where you're a beginner again. Too many professionals avoid situations where they aren't already expert. Take a class in something unrelated to your field. Join a group where you have to learn new skills. How does the beginner's mindset refresh your approach to your primary work? Has anyone experienced this cross-pollination effect? Share your experience below. The paradox of voluntary discomfort is that it ultimately leads to deeper satisfaction than the pursuit of comfort. As your capacity to handle challenges increases, so does your confidence, adaptability, and professional range. Principle 4. View obstacles as opportunities. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius. Perhaps no Stoic principle has more practical career application than this one. Every professional faces setbacks, rejected proposals, difficult clients, economic downturns, technological disruptions, or personal limitations. The difference between those who thrive and those who merely survive lies in how they interpret these obstacles. Stoicism teaches a radical perspective shift. Obstacles aren't merely challenges to overcome, but are the very path to growth. Marcus Aurelius, who faced wars, plagues, and betrayals as emperor, understood that the obstacle itself contains the solution. Consider these career obstacles through a Stoic lens. A rejected proposal becomes an opportunity to refine your ideas. A difficult colleague becomes your teacher in patience and clear communication. Budget constraints become the catalyst for innovative thinking. Being overlooked for promotion becomes the impetus to clarify your true priorities. Industry disruption becomes your chance to develop new skills ahead of others. Think about your current greatest professional challenge. What opportunity might be hidden within it? How might this obstacle be precisely what you need for growth? Share your perspective shift in the comments. Ryan Holiday's modern Stoic book, The Obstacle is the Way, shares countless examples of historical figures who transformed obstacles into advantages. From Steve Jobs being fired from Apple, which gave him the experience to return and save the company, to Amelia Earhart using gender discrimination to generate publicity for her flying, history shows that obstacles often create unique opportunities. Try this Stoic practice. Keep an obstacle journal where you record professional challenges and deliberately identify the hidden opportunity within each one. After practicing this consistently, you'll begin automatically seeing obstacles as advantages rather than barriers. Has anyone tried something similar? What shifted in your perspective? The next time you face a career setback, pause before reacting negatively. Ask yourself, how can I use this? What advantage might be hidden here? This single practice transforms professional victimhood into empowerment. Let me ask, what was the best thing that happened in your career that initially appeared to be a setback? Perhaps a job loss that led to a better position? A project failure that taught a crucial lesson? Your story might be exactly what someone in our community needs to hear right now. Remember, the Stoics weren't simply being optimistic, they were being strategic. By training themselves to see opportunity in obstacles, they developed the ultimate competitive advantage, the ability to transform what defeats others into fuel for growth. Principle 5. Cultivate professional detachment. Remember that you are an actor in a play determined by the author. If he wishes the play to be short, it is short. If long, it is long. If he wishes you to play the part of a beggar, a cripple, a governor, or a private citizen, see that you play it naturally. Epictetus. Epictetus, born a slave before becoming a respected philosopher, understood that roles are temporary while character is enduring. This principle is particularly relevant in today's volatile job market, where the average person changes jobs 12 times in their lifetime. Your job title is not your identity. Whether you're CEO or entry level, these are temporary roles you occupy, not who you fundamentally are. This detachment doesn't diminish your work, but enhances it. You perform better when you're not desperately clinging to professional status. Consider how many people experience depression after job loss or retirement. This suffering comes not from the change itself, but from over-identification with a temporary role. The Stoics would say, you're confusing the costume for the actor. Reflect on this. If you suddenly could not identify yourself by your profession, how would you describe who you are? What enduring qualities would remain? What values would still guide you? This exercise reveals what truly belongs to you versus what's merely on loan. Professional detachment creates several powerful advantages. You make more objective decisions, unclouded by ego or status anxiety. You take appropriate risks, unparalyzed by fear of status loss. You receive criticism more constructively, seeing it as feedback on your work rather than a tax on your worth. You navigate transitions more gracefully, holding positions lightly. You maintain perspective during both success and failure. Let me ask, have you ever over-identified with a professional role and suffered when that role changed? What did that experience teach you? Share your insight in the comments. Your experience might help someone facing a similar transition right now. The Stoics recommended regular perspective exercises to maintain detachment. Marcus Aurelius would remind himself of his mortality. Seneca practiced imagining the loss of his position and wealth. These weren't morbid exercises, but practical tools to prevent unhealthy attachment. Try this practice. For 1 week, avoid mentioning your job title or position when meeting new people. Instead, describe the value you create or problems you solve. Notice how this shifts your self-perception away from status toward contribution. Has anyone tried something similar? What changed in your interactions? Remember, detachment isn't about caring less. It's about identifying with what truly belongs to you, your character, values, and how you show up regardless of position. This creates the freedom to fully engage in your current role while remaining adaptable for whatever comes next. I'm curious, what practice helps you maintain healthy detachment from your professional identity? Meditation, time in nature, diverse interests outside work? Share your approach in the comments. Our community benefits from these practical strategies. These 5 principles aren't just philosophical concepts. They're practical tools to transform your relationship with work. Remember that the Stoics weren't ascetics who rejected the material world. Many were successful in business, politics, and teaching. They simply understood that external success without inner alignment creates a life of quiet desperation. Before we conclude, I want to ask, which of these 5 principles will you implement this week? Your commitment, shared in the comments, creates accountability. If this approach to career development resonates with you, be sure to subscribe for more Stoic wisdom applied to modern challenges. Hit the like button if you found value, and share this video with someone struggling to find meaning in their work. Until next time, remember what Seneca taught us. It is not the man who has too little who is poor, but the one who hankers after more. May your work be an expression of your highest values, not just a means to an end.